Editor from ERViewer.com. I have another video for you. I'm continuing on with my never-ending quest, my never-ending exploration of the process of human perception and how what's going on below the threshold of awareness, that we have a threshold of awareness, that we have a subliminal barrier between our everyday waking, communicating awareness and below the threshold where there is an infinity of processes taking place as we are connected to the fabric of time-space, of reality, and whatever else it is that we don't even have a name for it yet. Maybe Sanskrit has a name for it. We certainly don't, in my opinion, in the English language. But I'm continuing my search, never ending, where the creative process and the remote viewing process are so closely related. If you haven't checked out my interviews in my last two videos with Dino Jones and another interview with Sarah King, they are artists, and I delve with them deeply into their creative process as I attempt to get to their creative core, where their creativity wells from, their inspirations well from, and how that works, how they experience it. They're excellent, in my opinion. They're very interesting, fascinating interviews, and definitely watch them and check that out. Listen to what they're saying about their creative process and how it happens for them. Because with remote viewing, it's coming from the same space. You know, Ingo Swann calls it the psychic, or the ESP nuclear core, the psychic nucleus and the ESP core, and the creative core and the ESP core are so closely related. I'm looking at remote viewing now as from what I'm working on now, what I'm experimenting with now. The remote viewing is like a reflection. We are obtaining a reflection of a point in time and space. We are able to interact with it. We are able to experience it. But I'm looking at it more as a type of reflection. And what I'm working with lately is attempting to receive what I'm calling an imprint of some kind. And I got this from listening to Dick Algier, who was doing something but he won't describe what he's doing. But I'll describe what I'm doing because I want more people to do it. Because the more that do it, I believe the better off we'll all be, and we'll all be able to do it even better. But I'm doing a certain breath technique, breath of fire, a very fast diaphragmatic breath for about 13 to 14 minutes that includes periods of where I'm holding my breath and going through a process of a lot of oxygen, a lot of blood flushing into my brain, and I'm going into an altered space that is very intense. But over the years, because I've been doing it for 15 years, I'm able to ride this intensity wave and manage my way through into a state of clarity where a lot of the noise and static that is chattering and just shooting off in my brain is cleared out. It's in that moment that I'm doing certain eye techniques and attempting, while I'm focusing very intensely on the whatever the target is that I'm about to see in the next few minutes after I do this session, and I'm waiting for an imprint to come into my mind. And I've had a lot of success with this. It's not even about the success, it's about what is happening. What does it mean? How does it work? Those are my questions. It's not about my ego saying, "Oh, look at what I can do. I'm so great, and I have all the answers, and I know all the mysteries, and all that kind of stuff." It ain't about that. It's about how can we do this? How can we do it more? Why can we do it? And what else can we do? That's what it's all about for me. So this was another experiment that I had done where I went and grabbed an online target. This is the target here. It was an abandoned space shuttle manufacturing facility in Russia. So that was the target. Again, I'm blind to the target. I don't know anything about it as I'm going into it. It's a very short session as I go, and this is after I had done my breathing techniques and had received an imprint, and I'm going to now go to the board and I'm going to flush it out. So here's what happens. Okay, this is Perceptual Imprint Project 160427. It is 12:53 local sidereal time. I did just another quick note here, because I am working with the local sidereal time. I am within the optimum 2-hour time frame of local sidereal time. That is the time that where I'm positioned on the Earth at that position is facing away from the center of the galaxy, and this is a technique that was utilized by the military remote viewing team as they experimented with it a lot to see if as the Earth is shielding us from all the energy coming at us from the center of the galaxy, that the noise factor, quote unquote, is lower, and our ability to have this experience increases exponentially during that 2-hour time frame. Optimal time is 13:30. Local sidereal, you get an hour before and an hour after that. That is still within the optimal range, and I'm within the optimal range right here. Breath of fire, breath meditation, and specific eye movements for 13.5 minutes. I did get an impression of a person that had something on their head, maybe inside of something here. Comparators of like a pilot. 160427. White, angular, large, spinning, round, flat, moving, energetic, white, tangy, so taste, big, open. That was an interesting one. Tangy. It's not a descriptive word that I ever use, but I find it interesting, tangy, because Tang was the drink that was associated with the guys who went on the space shuttles, like in the late 70s and the early 80s. Tang, if you remember that. I was a kid at the time, and Tang was a big deal. So that it's just interesting that that word would come up in reference to a space shuttle here. For me, it's interesting. Around, spinning, moving, spinning, moving, inside, metallic, green, mechanical, inside, person, clean, dipping, moving, gravity, gravity pulling, heavy, metallic, encapsulated, green, inside, like mechanical, vehicle, I mean, the idea of something on the person's head. Like a cap or a helmet. Something on the person's head. Energetic. I'm going to end on that. Because if this is real, I'll know. So that's the imprint, the reflection. It reminds me of like these comparators of a pilot in a cockpit. You know, being like in a cockpit of a plane or something like that. You know, like a pilot. All right. Okay, so that's it. So what's interesting about this one is that this was the image, the imprint. I'm gonna call it an imprint more than an image. It was of a person with a helmet on, and they're in the cockpit of what in my mind reminds me of an airplane. All right, which we can see here, which is what we would see in the cockpit of the space shuttle. The only difference is that this imprint, if this was coming from a different time, what time line was I in where I'm getting an imprint where this facility was open, there were people in here, or maybe there was a shuttle that was being started or whatever, and there was a person actually in this cockpit with a helmet on. Where was I in time? I don't know where I was in time. This facility was closed in 1992. Where was I at? Was I back in the 1980s here? I'm not sure. This is another interesting question here. We don't know what's taking place. It's hard to know because we're dealing with an unknown. I can see that I was hitting the right point in space. I just don't know what point in time I was in. Brings up a whole another realm of very interesting questions. I'm going to keep going with this. You know, this is new. This type of thing is new to me. I've been doing remote viewing for a long time. This is not what we do in remote viewing. Remote viewing is a protocol where where if images come into the mind, you want to set them off to the side and go back and visit them later. If you're getting perceptual impressions that justify it, you definitely want to label them, but you want to be cautious of them. Let's just put it that way. You want to be cautious of them in the actual controlled remote viewing process. But this is not controlled remote viewing. What I'm doing is through altering my brain and my body and focusing on whatever this point in time and space is, this target that I'm unaware of, and focusing on that intensely, and intensely willing myself to pull an imprint into my mind. How does that happen? Am I pulling something through my mental processes that is going through comparators and all the imagery components of the human mind to come up with this imprint? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I would need to be connected to the most sophisticated brain mapping, real-time brain mapping technology known to humankind to be able to get a better understanding in that moment when this was happening. What was happening inside of my brain? I don't know. All I can do is report it and make videos on it and capture it on video and show them to other people. Because in my opinion, when other people watch another person do something like this, it triggers something in them that they can do it too. And then the more they do it, the better off everybody can become at it. That's my 100th monkey theory, and I'm sticking to it. So that's what this video is about. My Patreon site, if anybody wants to follow me on Patreon, I got a lot more content going up on there where I have a link for that. Like my Patreon site, it's a lot of fun. I can just make a bunch of videos and just talk about a lot of things and explore other sessions and kind of go deeply into them, and it's just a lot of fun for me. So for those who want to follow along with me on that journey with me on that, the link is below for my Patreon page. And that's it for this one, and thanks so much, and many more to come.